Are you new to eco-printing? Are you interested in working in an environmentally mindful way? Possibly you might be interested in growing your own eco-printing plants. My name is Nicola Brown, and during this short video, I share with you a little bit about my practice in rural Southeast Ireland. I grow my own material to use in my studio, and I help others achieve successful results right from the beginning when they start to eco-print or felt. So what exactly is eco-printing, and what makes felt such a wonderful substrate to print on? In simple terms, eco-printing is a process where vegetation is bundled with fabric or paper, rolled up, tied really tightly, processed with heat, either in a submersion, liquid or steamed, and the natural dye material from the vegetation makes a direct contact print on the fabric or paper. Felt is usually made from wool, although of course it can be made from alpaca, from yak, from cashmere, from camel, etc. Basically any hair or fibre that comes from an animal. Protein-based fibres from an animal accept the natural dye colour very much more readily than cellulose fabrics, particularly when you are working without using traditional powdered mordants, as I work. If you'd like to learn more about this, why not check out my YouTube video explaining about mordants and working without them after you've watched this one. It's a beautiful early spring day. We're now in the first week of March, and I'm taking the opportunity while the sun is out to just show you a little bit of the surrounding garden that's around the house and the studio here at Clasheen. It is quite cool, so I've got a wool jumper on, and I've also got a waxed waistcoat that I made secretly lined with eco-printed wool, and I'm wearing a hat because I find that I lose most of the heat from my head, so if I have a hat on I stay a lot warmer. So this particular jacket is actually lined with wool that's eco-printed from this shrub here, and this is smoke bush or cotinus. It's a fantastic plant for eco-printing, and I just love how in the pot that I use and working without traditional powdered mordants, I can get such vibrant and strong prints from the leaves. So these have been processed in a pot that I used a lot of rusty metal in, and they have a beautiful purpley pink tone. So very shortly, this cotinus behind me will be bursting into leaf, and I will have a ready supply of leaves for the rest of 2021. As the year progresses, it's extraordinary the beauty and colour from the cotinus leaves. In the autumn, they are particularly vibrant, almost like a flame. And as the leaves start to lose pigment and deteriorate, they change colour too, obviously, and they develop interesting patterns which actually translate onto the fabric. But eco-printing is extremely interesting unless you are using traditional powdered mordants to help fix the colour. It is extraordinary how some seasons you get fantastic prints from vegetation and some seasons you may not. So the soil, the age of the plant, the acidity of the soil, how old the plant is, the growing conditions, the time of year, these all play a very, very, very big part in the results that you get when you're working in the manner that I am. And this particular shrub here, this cotinus, every single year except one gives me reliable prints every single time I use it. One year I got no prints for a solid year from it. So this just shows you need to learn and identify the vegetation in your own area that will give you prints. There's no point looking online and seeing all these beautiful images of other people's work and saying, oh well, maple, for example, Japanese maple is wonderful, everybody gets great prints. Many of my friends get fantastic prints from Japanese maple. I've tried over 30 varieties of maple here in Ireland, many collected from an arboretum, and I rarely get good prints. But the sycamore, the hedgerow sycamore here that's on my property gives wonderful prints every single time. So it's a wonderful day. Everything here is going to start absolutely bursting with leaf very shortly. Because I garden organically, I'm going to have to be very, very aggressive with my weeding here and in the print and dye borders for the first couple of months when everything is growing. And then that means that the plants will take over, they'll self-seed, and it will be just a profusion of colour later in the year. Many of you may be familiar with clearing your garden in the autumn, but I don't. I leave seed heads and things as much as possible on the plants. Some of them obviously I do take away, but I leave as much as I can for the insects and the little mammals to overwinter in. And it's only when the plants are really bursting into leaf and emerging from the ground that I do a more aggressive cleanup. Now for a top tip for new eco printers. The best advice I can give anybody who would like to eco print without using traditional powdered mordants is to invest in a large aluminium pot. This is invaluable to me, and it is the pot that I use the most when I am teaching hands-on workshops. The following pieces have all been processed in this particular aluminium pot. This first image shows a silk cushion printed with blackberry leaves, and the pot liquid had plenty of onion skins. That's where those golden stripes are coming from on the silk cushion. The Nuno felt wrap was printed with eucalyptus leaves and snipped pieces of onion skin. Next are two felt pods. The first printed with leaves from Eucalyptus parvifolia, and the second printed with lichen that an experienced natural dyer gave me a present of. I don't harvest moss or lichen myself, but this was sustainably harvested and he gave it to me as a gift after a workshop he participated in. My top pick for vegetation for a new eco printer to try would be onion skins, the papery outside dry skins from brown and red onions. These never fail to give successful results on felt when processed in the aluminium pot, as you can see here on this little bumpy vessel. And this upcycled silk shirt was also processed in the aluminium pot using onion skins for the vegetation. Acer pseudoplantanus, commonly known in Europe as sycamore or sycamore maple in America, gives very reliable prints for me on felt, wool and silk. While I am not the best at record keeping, I do add notes to some of my images for future reference so I can see the colours and prints that I'm getting from specific vegetation on specific fabric. This here is upholstery wool with sycamore, Eucalyptus parvifolia, blackberry and rose leaf prints processed in the aluminium pot. My absolute favourite pot to use, however, has to be this really large cast iron pot which I heat using timber. I love the dark, rich, iron-rich brew that I have in here, and I reuse this for months on end. I enhance it with eucalyptus leaves and bark, and I just love everything about using this pot. Even though it contains 240 litres and it's fired with wood, once I light it, it only takes about 17 minutes for this pot to come to the boil. Absolutely extraordinary. I chose to use this pot when I printed with young eucalyptus vegetation from my new plot for the first time. I have 900 plus trees at the bottom of my land, And it was just an exceptionally exciting day when I was able to use some of their leaves and bark for the first time. You can see here how the background of this piece is lovely and dark. And on this next piece, you can also see how even though the pot liquid may be very dark, the prints themselves are fresh and vibrant. These leaves that have a sort of a pointy look to them, those are Eucalyptus gunnii, and the fabric in this case is lamb's wool that I commissioned from a local woolen mill. Rose leaves and their calyxes provide another wonderful source of eco-printing material when working without powdered mordants. This Rosa Veilchenblau, which is a rambling rose with purplish blue tinged flowers, is super, as are all the gorgeous wild dog roses in the hedgerows on the property at Clasheen. I never cease to be amazed by their intensity of colour and the heady aroma when I'm out walking the dog. These roses are just stunningly beautiful, and each of the different varieties, the leaves give subtly different prints. Here's a tip if you don't grow your own roses. Most florists will be very happy to give you the rose leaves that they strip from the stems. So if you haven't got any growing in your locality, why not ask them to save leaves for you? For more tips and information from my textile studio at Clasheen, please check out my playlists here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and over and out until next time.